Imagine you're an archaeologist. You've spent years of your life studying ruins, unearthing pots, coins, rudimentary tools. Everything is as expected. Until one day, in a cave lost in the Aegean Sea, you find something impossible. An artifact, so advanced that it could be in a museum of modern science and technology, but it hasn't been buried for over 2,000 years. This is the true and utterly disturbing story of the Antikythera Mechanism, the object that shouldn't exist. Prepare to delve into an archaeological mystery that challenges everything we know about humanity's past. The year was 1901. A group of Greek divers were on a routine mission to search for sponges on the seabed near the island of Antikythera, between Greece and Crete. What they didn't expect was to find an ancient shipwreck over 2,000 years old, loaded with bronze statues, ceramics, coins, and more. Initially, the object went unnoticed. It was covered in sediment, encrusted with salt, broken into fragments. It was only years later, when it was analyzed by scientists from the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, that they realized it was not just a piece of corroded metal. It was a mechanism with very fine, complex, calculated gears, something that, until then, did not exist at that time. As the mechanism was cleaned and rebuilt, a revelation began to take shape. The central gear was connected to other smaller uns. They rotated in perfect synchrony. Scientists realized that this object was a kind of astronomical calculator, an analog computer that could predict eclipses, lunar cycles, and even planetary positions based on manually provided dates. Detail: it was created between 150 BC and 100 BC. In other words, more than 1,000 years before any other mechanism with similar gears was recorded in history. But how could this be possible? Who created this machine, and why? Some scholars believe the mechanism may have been the work of Hipparchus, one of the greatest astronomers of ancient Greece. Others say it was Archimedes, but the truth is that no one knows. The inscriptions found on the artifact are partially illegible. Fragments that have not yet been assembled may reveal more, but the mystery remains. The level of precision required to cut those gears is comparable to that of 18th century Swiss watches. How did a civilization that still used hand tools without motors or modern magnifying glasses achieve such precision? And this is where theories arise. Some are more skeptical. They say that the artifact is just a brilliant exception in an ocean of ancient technological simplicity. Others, however, are bolder. Ancient astronaut theorists believe that the Antikythera Mechanism is evidence that we were visited by more advanced beings who taught or left lost technologies. Others talk about lost civilizations like Atlantis, or about the existence of a forgotten science buried by natural catastrophes. And there are still those who talk about time travel, that the artifact was left by someone who came from the future and should not be there. In 2017, a new underwater expedition to the wreck site found more metal fragments, possibly parts of the same mechanism or a similar one. This rekindled hopes of assembling the entire artifact. In addition, there have been unconfirmed reports of similar objects in other parts of the world, including Egypt, India, and even South America, all with eerily similar functions. Is the Antikythera Mechanism just one of many impossible artifacts hidden out there? Some researchers believe that these types of discoveries are just the tip of the iceberg, and that many others have been purposefully ignored or even suppressed. There are documents from excavations in Turkey in the 1930s that mention similar mechanisms buried next to royal tombs, but they disappeared after military teams arrived at the site. Conspiracy theories? Maybe. But what if it's true? Who would? have an interest in hiding the fact that advanced technology existed even before the Middle Ages? Why are we led to believe that technological evolution was slow and linear when discoveries like these challenge that narrative? Modern researchers are using cutting-edge technology to virtually reconstruct the Antikythera mechanism. 3D computer, graphics, ultra-high-resolution tomography scans, and even AI are being applied to try to understand what the object did in its entirety. The most widely accepted theory today is that it predicted astronomical events with incredible accuracy. Not just eclipses, but also the positions of planets visible to the naked eye. It was a tool for observation, navigation, and perhaps control. Yes, control of the weather and the harvest, influence over people, predictions that would have seemed magical in an age without science. If this was possible more than 2,000 years ago, what else have we lost? The Incas had incredibly accurate solar observation instruments. The ancient Chinese had timekeeping mechanisms and stargazers that seemed to have evolved without any visible basis. The Antikythera mechanism may be a missing link, or perhaps the final clue in a global network of knowledge that is much older than we suspect. Imagine a global civilization, or at least an exchange between ancient cultures long before Columbus, sharing technology, astronomy, and science. An idea that completely revolutionizes everything we learned in school. Whatever its origin, the fact is undeniable. The Antikythera mechanism should not exist. But it does, and with it, there is also a question that echoes through the centuries. What else has been forgotten? What else is hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? If you've come this far, it's because you love this kind of story as much as we do. So subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and comment below. What do you think? Lost civilizations, time travel, or something even stranger? Share this video with someone who also loves historical mysteries, because this story, my friend, is just beginning.